think today I'm just gonna speak from my heart, because when the world feels really loud, I find myself needing a little bit of escapism. And that is essentially what this channel is. I'm recently back into photography after taking an extended break. And one of the ways that I enjoy this hobby is by watching other photographers and seeing what they're up to. I follow a lot of photographers here on YouTube, from landscapes to woodland photography to portraiture, something which I am keen on increasing my skill with. Oh, and street photography as well. Really into street photography at the moment. My end goal with this channel is to create mini documentaries, perhaps even a little bit educational along the way. Having taken so long away from the art of photography, I'm not entirely sure if you looked across any of my videos on this channel that you would see a specific stamp, my specific stamp. A specific look to all of my images in which you can say, oh, Luxeria took that. This is one of those things that takes time to develop. And having taken so much time away, I feel like I need to redevelop that eye. So in today's video, I'm taking a couple of inspiration from some of the YouTubers that I watch here, and I'm also going to take it back to my photography training. Specifically today, we're going to talk about aperture and the science of light. One of the key aspects to getting a really good impactful image is asking the question, who is the star of the show? Regardless of what you're shooting for, there's always a star of the image. Quite often, sometimes there's a supporting star as well. But we're just going to stick with the star today. Now, a butterfly. Another one. Oh gosh, beautiful. Now, aperture is generally controlled by the lens on your camera. The higher the number is, the less light is going to hit your sensor. The lower the number is, the more light's going to hit your sensor. Think of aperture as a degree of opening. Lower number, bigger opening, higher number, tiny, tiny, tiny opening. And aperture, along with some other things, but mostly aperture, controls the blur in your photos. Background blur, we've all seen it. We've all seen those incredible images that just pull you in to the star of the show. And the star of the show needs light. Neewer is a photography technology company that creates very affordable, decent tech. And I've used Neewer for nearly all of my career on YouTube. Nearly. About 12 years now. So when they recently sent me an email saying that they would love to send me a light, I was like, oh my gosh, perfect. I've got just the project in mind. The Neewer HS60B is a really compact and portable 60-watt 2-color video light. And they designed it with content creators in mind at weighing just over 300 grams. It has a temperature range of 2700 to 6500 Kelvin. It features 12 special lighting effects which can all be controlled via the Neewer app. And very handy for me, it includes several different ways of powering. Today I'm going to be using the USB-C option for outdoor use. So I've got mine on a tripod a little way away from my microphone, but it does actually have an inbuilt fan for really quiet cooling. As you can see, the front of this light has what's known as a cob, which helps to create really soft lighting on your subjects, which is ideal for today. So using this light today, I'm going to walk you through how to create an impactful image using aperture. So let's take some photos. You join us in our new place, and since moving here I've wanted to capture it somehow, but I wanted to use this opportunity to speak a little bit about aperture, as this video is entirely about aperture and bokeh. Today we're very lucky to have this handsome himbo who just came home from work, so he's going to be lovingly our model for today, and this little biscuit child is being a problem, as usual. My initial thoughts about this location is that it's going to be quite difficult to shoot because we have really grey sky today. The backdrop is one colour, all of this is one colour, and this is where this light is going to come in handy. The purpose of this shoot is to show you the difference between a low aperture and a high aperture, and just how much that can impact how good a portrait shot can look. So if you could come and stand here for me, please. Right here, I want to just plan the shot. Always plan first, because you can change it if it doesn't look right. So you are a lot taller than me, so I think I may need you to move over this way just a little bit. I kind of want the mountains in the backdrop, so that means I'm going to actually have to move you right now. This gives you so much more of a view of what I'm talking about here. I'm just going to move this ever so slightly towards you to give you a bit of an illumination on this side. Today, it's the Canon R8 and my RF24 f1.8 lens. And the reason why I'm going to use this one is because it's the lowest aperture I can go to. Planning the shot, initially, I'm just going to do a few test shots to see where we are at. If you could tilt your head slightly down for me. Very gorgeous. Oh, what a handsome himbo you are. Oh no, the internet's not going to know what to do. Slightly pose like this and look over this shoulder at me. Just directly at me. One moment, the camera's dead.
Many hours later.
Honestly, at this point in my career, I should know not to use third-party batteries. I think what I might do is take the light off of the tripod and do it a little bit by hand, because that's a feature of being able to operate via USB-C. Beautiful. And puff out your chest a little bit. Go for it, girl. Perfect. Stay right there, stay right there. Beautiful. Next one, next pose, next pose, next pose, next pose.
These pictures have been taken at f1.8, and that means they have a really shallow depth of field. The background is so blurred in comparison to my model, and definitely draws your focus to what's in the forefront. All of the images today are straight out of camera JPEGs with a minimal crop and no further editing. Right here you can see what I mean about a shallow depth of field. The background is so blurred. To show you a greater depth of field, I now increase the f-stop to f16. And if you remember from earlier, a higher aperture number is a smaller lens iris.
Naturally, when shooting at higher apertures, you will in fact have to increase your ISO in order to have a faster shutter speed, especially when shooting handheld. I'm actually going to go to f16 and not f22 because there's just not enough light today for me to do handheld f22. This is a silly one, that's a silly. And now maybe a little bit of a happier one. Oh, very handsome. Do the boxing one again, like that. That's it, and stay perfectly still.
So here are two of my favorite examples of depth of field from today's video. The one on the left is at f1.8, and you can really see the shallow depth of field by just how blurred the background is. And on the right, you can see one at f16, which has a greater depth of field, meaning that more things in the image are in focus. In the image on the left, I think Louis looks very separated from the background, and I think in the image on the right, he looks more a part of the image overall. How the light has captured across Louis's face is also different between each photo. Using this light with f1.8 has given a very specific portraiture look, while I almost feel like f16 kind of gives a vintage holiday photo vibe, a little bit less what we would see with typical portraiture.
So my favourite aperture to shoot at is actually f4. And I feel like it's a general, well-rounded aperture to shoot at, especially for portraiture, especially if you're doing something like weddings. It just gives enough background blur and allows people that are near to each other to be still in focus and crisp and sharp. Cute, 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 stay still, and freeze. And turn a little bit like this. That's it. Oh, yes, businesswoman who.
Here is a comparison of all three apertures I've mentioned in today's video. Each of these settings has its own benefits and uses. f1.8 is great for low light scenarios, and f16 is lovely for landscape or really big group photos where everyone has to be in focus. Personally, I really think that f4 is a clean but mid-range depth of field that creates just enough background blur to really draw your attention to a specific item or person, but not so much blur that it can feel a little bit artificial. That is my personal sweet spot. And these images today would not have been possible without the Neewer light. And if you want to grab your own Neewer HS60B, I have an affiliate link in the description box below.
Beautiful. Okay, thank you so much to our lovely male model today, this beautiful himbo, Louis. You've been a great help. Thank you, thank you. Oh, it squeezes. Right, back to the studio. Well, it's not quite back in the studio, is it? I wanted to be outside today as it's such a gorgeous bijou day. I know buying that lens that goes all the way down to f1.4 is such a little thrill to be able to say, oh my goodness, the low light biscuit can be caught in any weather, can't you, biscuit? Hello, baby. You come to see mummy? Hello, 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 hello. He's a silly sausage, yes you are. We could have used you as a supermodel. While those lenses are great for capturing in low light, and the urge to use those lower stops really creeps in because it does look so impactful. But you've got to remember, if you want to take this to a career level, you need to develop your style. And I feel like my style is very comfortable in f4. If you've enjoyed today's video and you're feeling a little bit spicy, you could buy me a coffee. I've just joined and the link is in the description box below, and there is no commitment necessary. Next time I'm going to experiment with a new type of video here on this channel, POV photography trips. Something that I particularly enjoy watching on YouTube, but teaming it a little bit with travel destinations also. Make sure you subscribe if you want to see that, and I'll see you in the next video.